Do you ever feel worried because of your experience level with women? You have little experience, no experience, or maybe you've only been with a few women, were married, now divorced, separating, all that, and you feel even out of the game like you don't have current experience. Well, I'm going to address that today here on Core Confidence. Hey guys, what's up? David with Core Confidence here. Today talking about experience level with women, confidence, attraction, could be dating, sexual, whatever, and that is a major issue or a major roadblock that you are facing right now, okay? So I have a question from a subscriber, and he asks, he says, David, I am 37 years old, I've never dated, etc. I've had a few friends that were girls, women, but nothing that would be serious, so no dating at all, really. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I have a women repellent on me somewhere. How will I know your videos will work? Great question. Very, very good question. I hear the genuine place this is coming from, and he wants to be addressed as Rabbit. So Rabbit, here's the answer to your question. I have a few parts to it. So one, the first thing I want to say is you're asking, how do you know my videos, aka my material, will work? Well, the way I do my thing, okay, and the way I've done my thing and learned it over the years and helped guys with it is it's based fundamentally on an understanding of how attraction works between men and women, and especially what we need to understand and do and think on the male side, okay, regardless of where you're at. Now, what does that mean, though? It means there are different challenges for where you're at than a guy who's in my position, who's further along, right? Or other guys who are further along. And believe it or not, in certain ways, there could be guys that are even behind you in some ways, right? For instance, they could be older than you and have no experience, really. They could have no female friends ever and never dated, right? There are always ways that there's someone behind you and people ahead of you, okay? So my thing, think of it like applied physics, okay? It's based on an understanding of how attraction works between men and women. And when you understand these fundamental basics, they apply to any man, okay? Now, they have to be done in application too. You have to apply them. You can't just understand them. And the problem is, the biggest problem you're going to face is overcoming your mental barriers from where you're at. I know it seems like from where you're at, only the lack of experience because you haven't dated any women. The fact of that having happened is your biggest barrier, but it's actually not. The biggest barrier is your own mind, your own psychology. It is for any of us at any stage of the game. Believe me, because I am fairly experienced with women. I'm not the most experienced guy. I'm definitely not the least, but I've been with a number of women, okay? Worked at this stuff. And when I fall off track, if I get lost in business or work or whatever, and I've gone for months, sometimes years, without dating, I've done that, believe me, even though I've had a lot of experience with women, I can feel like I've got no experience, or I don't have enough experience, or she's going to find something out about me. And that's all coming from my mind, ultimately. It really is. Because when you show up in a certain way and the right guy with the right vibe, which comes from working on the psychology of the mind, basically, at the root, there are other things that apply to it. Everything can shift and change. I've seen it happen to other guys. It's happened to me and even clients that I've worked with, right? A client that I've been working with had major social problems, repelling people, not just women. Finally got him to a point where he doesn't repel people, and women actually will sometimes come up and talk to him and approach him, and that didn't happen to him before. He dated a little bit in high school, a little bit, but basically is in your situation, seriously. So the vibe has made a big difference. Now he's got other barriers to overcome with dating women and stuff like that, and now we're at that stage, okay? So it depends on where somebody's at, right? And so for you, you know, and so I hear what you're saying too, because you're like, how will I know it'll work for me? Because you're further ahead than me and other guys are further ahead from me and I'm right here. Well, and one thing is you've got to try and apply what I'm teaching or whoever is teaching, right? Obviously you're here for a reason. You've liked my stuff so far. It's been resonating with you, so you've got to try and apply it. And that also leads to one of two choices. You have one of two choices literally right now, and we sort of always do, is to accept your situation in the sense of, well, I'm just going to live life and not worry about the dating thing Dead serious. That's a valid option. I don't think it's one that you really want. That's why you're asking, but it's valid. You can live a life, I believe, fulfilled without actually dating women or dating men, and if women on the other side. It's possible. It's not my deal. I want women to be a part of my life, sexual experience, dating, relationships, okay? There are times I've wanted to throw it all away, even though I have experience, right? I face that as a man. We're still all men fundamentally. We're still up against a lot of the same things. So that's option A. Option B is to decide to go on the path of change, which fundamentally means you've got to change the way you're thinking about yourself, about women, about life, and choose to change you. And you're going to have to start doing things differently, right? And there's difficulty and ease in both paths, right? You're going to be able to get more of what you want, I think, by going the path of women. By this one, you won't have to deal with the challenges that you're going to have to face and the hard look you're going to have to take at yourself, okay? And the things you don't like about you that have you in your situation. And that comes to my most important point, actually, of the video, which is taking responsibility. You have to take responsibility for where you have ended up in life. I know it doesn't seem like that, but when we don't come from a place of taking responsibility, we have no power. We have no response-ability, no ability to respond, right? So you have to be willing to take responsibility. Otherwise, this is going to get worse and worse as you get older. Okay? It's only going to get worse and worse as you get older if you don't choose path A and decide to fully commit to that, or path B. Okay? And path B, which I believe is the more fun, fulfilling, challenging one here, probably. I mean, there are challenges in path A, right? There might be, if you really don't accept path A and you kind of go along with it, you might always wonder about what would be and what could have been and all this, and that kind of life of regret. That's not for me. No judgment. If somebody really accepts path A, that's not really going to happen. They're going to have to do a different kind of work. It's a different kind of spiritual path than this other kind of spiritual path, okay? I don't want to get too woo-woo here. So taking that responsibility, and a little bit of your question, I'm just going to give you a little coaching here on this, is how will I know your stuff will work for me, right? Which is a little bit victim-y, quite honestly. And I get it. I felt that too. How do I know it'll work for me? Well, it's sort of like, how are you going to, first because if you don't commit to the path and commit to making it work, whether it's my stuff or John's stuff or Steve's stuff, whoever's stuff, right? None of it's ultimately going to work, and then you'll blame the information and the advice for not doing it for you. I'm not saying that there's no responsibility in my end or other people's end to give good advice, to give good teachings, coaching, whatever. But this is a deeper thing that I've had to learn from my mentors and coaches too, whether it was business or women or whatever, that I could easily blame it on them. And I'm not saying that you are, but this is a subtle form of it creeping up a little bit, okay? It's not bad. It's just, I've done it plenty. Ask me how I know. I've done it so much. I have paid good money for coaching and resisted it sometimes from a mentor who's generally trying to help me. And I'm like, I don't like this coaching. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. No. I don't think it's going to work for me. And of course it didn't work, except it did. The times I fully committed to it, I got amazing results. But it didn't happen often because I would refuse to use the advice. Okay? So we do that. We self-sabotage like that. So that's the toughest stuff to work against, is the self-sabotage and all that. But it comes from the fundamental first position of taking responsibility, that, okay, which also means you don't blame yourself, because blaming is not responsible. It's like, I take responsibility. I'm not going to blame myself, but I'm going to choose to work on the path of women, change myself, better myself, overcome the challenges, learn what I need to learn, do what I need to do in order to have what I want and become the guy I need to be. Because ultimately it's about the kind of lifestyle you want, the kind of man you want to become, which is part of your whole life, right? This women part is part of the whole life. And so that also means a lot of letting go. There's going to be a lot of letting go of emotional baggage and psychological baggage, which is the toughest stuff. It's, in my experience, been the toughest stuff. I know exactly what to do, what to say in virtually every situation to meet women. But if I'm up against my psychological BS, it doesn't, all that stuff doesn't matter, right? If I'm hitting a big challenge or trying to break through to the next level or whatever. Okay, so great question, Rabbit. I hope that helps, and I hope it helps all you other guys here, because this is also intended to help other guys in the same situation, worrying about their experience or their rustiness, or not having enough of that to be attractive to women. And until next video, we're done.